Well, as I said, President Cyril Ramaphosa just arriving in Davos for the World Economic Forum. One of the members of our delegation is the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen. Of course, he's also the leader of the DA. He joins us now live from Switzerland. Minister, good afternoon to you. I think it's -4 in Davos today. Have you found a warmer reception from people there? Have you found the experience of being there with a South African delegation so far?
Well, certainly, Stephen, and it's been a wonderful welcome, but I can tell you for absolute sure that the South African pavilion has the warmest heart, and there's been lots of interest, people coming in really excited about South Africa and about the G20 and about the prospects. We've had some good panel discussions here at the South African pavilion, and it's going to be a wonderful few days.
One of the things about this kind of government delegation, in my experience, particularly in Davos, the South Africans seem to stick together. You will have been travelling with members, people that you opposed, and now you're working with. So you're from different parties, and travelling together can really bring people together. What's that been like to try and sell South Africa together?
Well, I think that all of us have a common purpose, and that's to make sure that South Africa's economy grows, that we create jobs, and that we eradicate poverty. And I think that all the ministers here are running very intensive programs, participating in as many panels and having as many bilaterals as possible to try and maximize the benefit of the time that we spend here in the service of the country. And obviously, from an agri perspective, I'm very excited about the opportunities here to talk about our G20 presidency and what that's going to mean for agri-food systems, for food security and the bioeconomy, and obviously on the hunt as well for investment partnerships, particularly in the agri space, to look at blended finance models and how we can try and hunt down some more patient capital for investment in the agri sector in South Africa.
I mean, our agricultural sector has become more and more important. Do you think that, and we know global food prices have been such a big issue over the last few years. Do you think there are more opportunities for our farmers, whether they be in, I don't know, the EU, the US, China? They already buy a lot of our citrus, for example.
Yeah, there's huge opportunities, Stephen, and what's really great to see is that agriculture, food safety and security and the bioeconomy are now right at the top of the world agenda and all of the multilateral systems. People are realizing how important agriculture is for the bioeconomy and for global sustainability, particularly on food security. This is a big issue that exercises particularly people on the continent, but also internationally. And of course, the more opportunities we can open up for more markets for South African agricultural goods the world over, the more beneficial it's going to be for our value chains at home, particularly looking at how we can include far more smallholder farmers in the value chains to make sure that we increase their participation and to move them from subsistence farming, from small family farming into larger, more profitable farming operations.
I mean, one of the things that's going to get very complicated is we don't know what's going to happen in terms of global trade. President Donald Trump is promising tariffs. He hasn't instituted any tariffs on South Africa. He has made promises to impose tariffs on BRICS countries and Canada and Mexico from the 1st of February. From the side of agriculture, we do trade with many countries. We want to sell our foodstuffs to as many countries as we can. Are you a bit worried about that? The global trade picture is going to be a bit more complicated and that could affect your sector directly?
Yes, of course it's going to be complicated, but I just think that we have to show agility in being able to deepen and widen existing trade agreements, but also look at new markets for South African agricultural goods and products. I think we're helped by the fact that we have some of the best farmers and farm workers in the world that produce some of the best agricultural products in the world that are sought after. I think South African agricultural produce speaks for itself on the world market, and the fact that we're able to compete against other heavily subsidized agri-sectors like Europe and are still able to do so competitively is a testament to that. I think that the global world is always very fast moving, and South Africa is going to have to navigate the Trump presidency in the best way that it can and in a way that acts always in the best interest of South Africa.
There'll be conversations there, I know, about climate change. There's a big report out from the World Economic Forum. I mean, again, that affects your sector. We could find that where we currently grow food, we can no longer grow food. Are you speaking to our farmers about those problems? That'll be a big issue there in Davos today.
Yes, of course. And this is the whole bioeconomy discussion. I've just come back from Green Week in Berlin, where we had the Global Agricultural and Food Forum. And climate change and the impact on changing food systems has been a big topic of discussion. But it's about how we build resilience in the agricultural sector using new breeding techniques, new plant genetics, more resilient, but also then how we more sustainably use soil and the agricultural space going forward. The last 2 to 3 decades, it's seen a very extractive type of agriculture, pouring nitrates into the soil, use of very heavy chemicals. The conversation is now shifting about how we move towards more sustainable agricultural practices that focus on soil health, using biomass to radically improve soil health, being able to ensure that we can farm in a more sustainable way so that in 20 to 30 years' time, we have soils that are still rich enough to be able to produce. If we continue on the current path of focusing mainly on extraction rather than on sustainably farming, we're going to find ourselves in difficult situations by damaging the real asset of agriculture, and that is soils. And so soil quality is going to be a major focus and discussion, and types of new fertilizers, types of new chemicals that do not cause the same amount of harm and damage in soils as what we've been using over the past 20 to 30 years.
John Steenhuisen, thank you very much indeed for your time. The Minister of Agriculture, also, of course, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, part of the national delegation in Davos at the World Economic Forum.